Yakasha, welcome back to another episode of Can't Handle the Heat. It's your boy G Swizz. Obviously, I'm the only one right here. Joe and Michael will be joining us with the legendary Mr. Hames, Nicklin Hames' father. We met him on the tour this summer, and we knew him prior, but he's a legendary guy, and he has a lot of legendary stories, and we can't wait to share it with you. But just want to give a fat shout out to Manscaped. Cheers to 2022 and the resolution you can actually keep. How about having clean, shiny balls all year round? Our sponsor at Manscaped are here to save your balls this year and make the ball drop into 2022 the cleanest and sexiest ever. Set your first New Year's resolution with good intentions and join the 4 million men worldwide who trust in Manscaped. With our exclusive offer, go to manscaped.com and use the code VOLLEYBALLS, all cap, for 20% off and free shipping. Without further ado, Mr. Hames.
You can handle the heat. Yeah. You can handle the heat.
We're now here joined by Jason Hames, proud father of Nebraska setter Nicklin Hames, owner of K2 Volleyball, and an ex-sporter of one of the sickest mustaches I've ever seen in my life, but it's not showing us today. Jason, how you doing, man? Thanks for hopping on, brother.
I'm doing good, and sorry about the mustache fatality here, but New Year's came and the wife asked, so I finally got rid of it.
Oh, so it's recent.
Yeah, I just literally shaved it off a couple days ago.
Dude,
Yeah.
I tried doing some, because like out here they don't care. Like in Hawaii you're not allowed to have facial hair, but since I'm out here they don't care.
Oh.
It's a wild east over here. So I tried sporting it. It
Yeah,
just did not work. I remember I had been growing it for a while, and I was like, Joe, what do you think of it? And he's like, oh, I didn't even notice until you pointed it out. Like,
Well, you had a nice little beard going. It'll flow when you were here, but the stash just didn't work out, huh?
Nah, not long enough, not enough dedication.
That's always Gage's summer tradition, grow it out. But no, yeah, for those who don't know, you have the mustache. That was the nicest. Micah, he wouldn't stop talking about the mustache. So when he sees this, he's gonna be bummed.
He's gonna be disappointed. Sorry to disappoint. Yeah.
We're just gonna end it right here. It's
an interview over. We're done. Yeah, that's the part, is that I get more compliments from dudes than I ever do from any girls.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
all jealous.
It's definitely it's all good. But yeah, I don't grow back. I'll grow back, but I change it up every once in a while, and I had it for a while at that point. So next time you see me, I'll have it back.
Respect. Hell yeah. That's what. And the other thing is, recently, I don't know why I've been talking to a lot of people about Eastern Tennessee. Where K2 Volleyball is in Eastern Tennessee,
Right.
in like the dopest spot. Micah, after we left, for those who don't know, was like talking about buying property already. People were so sold on moving there. This is kind of like towards the end of where we were for people who don't know. After we played in the tournament in South Carolina, we went up Tennessee, did some events up at K2 Volleyball, and hung out with the Haynes family, and it was definitely one of the like biggest highlights of our summer, and we love it. We just love the area, love the people. Everything is super great. So we're super grateful for you guys opening your house to us and allowing us to come up. This kind of leads me into my next question. We kind of talked about Nicklin. I don't know can Nicklin hear us right now? I saw she was in.
No.
She helped you set it up.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit of.
On and then,
All right.
she's
Sweet.
on. So we're good.
Because,
We're good. You can talk about her. Yeah.
Good. I just know it probably is a little bit of a sore subject, and I saw you on TV a bunch of the Final Four.
Right.
And one of the things starting off, before we get into coaching, I want to talk to you like more as a parent, because that was when I saw you last just on TV 2 weeks ago. You know, handling, obviously Nebraska, they had a really up and down season. I know going into it this past summer, we were talking about a lot of stuff for them and reasons why they're going to have to work on going into the year. And I think as they got Lauren back, as they kind of started improving their serve reception, their defense, that they really caught some momentum at the end of the season. I think that's easy to say for anybody. But I want to ask you, like, after that national championship match, what's the most important thing for parents in terms of how you speak to them, how you handle that situation? Because I know, like, from just my previous experiences, how my parents have handled it, and I just wanted to see, for your sake, how you handle it with your kids and how also you've seen it handled with kids at your club. And like losing a match like that.
Man, that's a great question. First of all, it sucks. it just when you're on that losing end, because there's nothing as a parent, seeing your kid hurt or not feeling great or whatever, your immediate instinct is to want to help or do something. And in that moment, there really isn't anything you can say or do that's going to make her feel any better. So, I told her then what I've told her since she was 5 years old. Hey, win or lose, Nicklin, I love you just the same. You did all you could tonight. You came up a little bit short, but, we love you just the same. So it's not this winning or losing isn't really attached to you, father-son or father-daughter, relationship in any way. It's just about, a competition. And this night you happen to lose it. So, of course she didn't like hearing that either. That's really all you can say. I will say this, man, and you guys are kind of familiar with this because you're from Hawaii. The Akanas handled it like the best of anyone. So Keonole Akana, who's from Hawaii, who plays in Nebraska, her whole family was there, and afterwards they brought the family down. They were talking to each of the players. They had the shells that they had made, the necklaces, and it was like, this is from our family to your family. And they just do life a little bit better. I think there was a lot of us that were kind of bummed out or kind of pissy or whatever, and they were just like, hey, they've been through so much with their own daughter and her story. This is, they just handled it a lot better. So to answer your question about who I've seen handled it well, they were great, and they had, a great attitude, and I think they were just thankful to watch their kid play, and we get caught up sometimes in a lot of the other stuff because we feel like, well, there's criticism going on, or people are going to talk about this, or someone's going to say this, or you didn't get it done, or this didn't happen. It's like, if that's what you're going to be worried about, your life's going to be pretty miserable, right? But if at the end of the day you did the best you could, and then you have family who loves you and the things that are important to fall back on, it's like life goes on, and tomorrow is a new day, and you start the next thing that you're after.
No, I love that. And you hit it right on the point. People in Hawaii, just from our experiences, you got to see with the Akana family, just the aloha spirit after every match. It's like that. No matter win or lose, I remember years where we were not very good, and then years where we were awesome, and it was the same amount of love, everything. So that's super cool, and I'm sure we have a lot of people from Hawaii who listen, so I'm sure they're going to comment below and talk about that. But that's super awesome to hear. That brought up something, because my brother and I and Micah all have experienced the exact same thing. Luckily for my brother, he also experienced the opposite end last year. Micah, I was with Micah the night after we lost the championship match, and he said something really similar to kind of what you were just saying. And he's like, listen, he lost the year before, and he's like, going forward, the way I approach it is that my life will be no better or no worse if I would have won that match. I'm still going to go sign a pretty good pro contract. I'm still going to be with the national team. None of that stuff was affected. It's just you would have one more trophy on your shelf and stuff. And the way he said that to me, I thought thinking about it in the moment, obviously you don't want to hear it. Nicklin knows that, that's the last thing you want to hear. But over time, I think that's a really good message. And that's a huge reason why I want to get you on, is because I just feel from our time with you and just hearing other coaches talk about you too, you just have so many good lessons tied into how you approach the game of volleyball.
Right.
And that's a huge, I feel, especially for youth sports, that is the most important thing, because I see so many kids come out and go up to the next level, the collegiate level, and the sole reason they kind of fall off is because they're not ready to just handle the life of being a college student, the life of being on your own. And so the coach, I know, there's so many cases my parents have, I've seen with other kids, that the coach and that is really the guardian in their life, and the person who installs discipline in their life, make sure they go to class, making sure they're taking care of everything they need to take care of. And so for you, really quickly, can you give just a background of when you started the club? Because I want people to know just a little bit about your background before I get into a little bit of question about your coaching style, and when you guys started the club, so they have an idea about that.
Yeah. We started the club in 2009. So Nicklin was probably 9 years old at that point. And in East Tennessee, where we live in Knoxville, there was a club here, but it was pretty low level, low key. A lady named Carmen Foster was running it, Smoky Mountain Juniors, and she did a great job. But they weren't really exposed to a lot of the other things, or seeing other parts of the country, how people did things, or the competition level of those other places, or quite honestly, what was possible for the girls if they were competing at that level, that they could go on and play at a Power 5 school, Tennessee, Nebraska, UCLA, whatever. That was all crazy talk when we started in 2009. And we basically were coaching at the club, that Smoky Mountain Juniors. A bunch of parents said, hey, I think we kind of liked what you guys are doing, and we'd like some more of this. What if you had your own facility? And we started some stuff, and we did this. So we had kind of an informal parent meeting, and there was like 50 people that showed up. So then we're like, okay, maybe some people want to do this. And then we're like, all right, we have no money. We're broke at this point. So how are we going to do this? So what we did was to raise capital to start, we sold charter memberships. And so that gave people lifetime membership in the club. They could come into our building 24/7, get training. They never had to pay dues or uniform fees or anything like that for the entire time they were going to be at the club. If they put up at that time 10 grand a piece, so that basically 10 grand would cost them, that would be it for their entire time in the club. And we sold 100 of those. And that's how we raised the money to get K2 started. So then we bought balls, we bought courts, we bought uniforms, we got a building. And boom, we were off and running, and then at that point, the logistics became about like, how do you make the finances work? But I mean, that's kind of boring stuff, but you sort of start to figure out where you need to be, as a club. We made the decision. It was never going to be about the money. It was going to be about the product, right? Okay. If we make a great product, people are okay with writing a check. If you're taking care of their kid and they're finding some value in what you're doing with them, the money's not a problem. But when you start chasing dollars and nickel diming people, then it's like, it sucks and it's no good. So long answer longer, we started around in 2009. 2 years later, we bought this building that we're in now, and now we're selling this building, and we're going to move into a new facility, probably 8-court facility that we're going to put in and Terraflex it and kind of make it a state of the art, hopefully our last place that we're going to be. And then see where we can take this thing from there. Because volleyball's grown here exponentially. It's huge in this area now. And now we put, over 100 kids into major universities playing, and they see Nicklin on TV and they know who she is. And they see her sister playing at Pepperdine, and even her brother's playing on the boys team here now. And we have 5 boys teams. So that was just unheard of. No one ever thought that would even, be a thing. And now we're at 5 boys teams. So, and we got Lewis is coming here to practice. I guess they're going to be in town to play Lincoln Memorial. Gage will remember his trip to Lincoln Memorial. And so they needed a place to come practice. So they're gonna come and use the facility, and that'll be great to have them. And our boys will get to see what that looks like, and then that gives them kind of something to emulate and look at and go, oh, okay, hey, maybe that could be me in a few years.
That's so cool. And for those who don't, the current facility of K2, it's in this giant tennis ball. The coolest thing, they have lifting in there. They have sweet sound system. They have everything you possibly need. There were so many offices too.
Next door.
They have Domino's next door for Gage.
That's right.
It's huge. Yeah. So the fact that like when he told us before the call even that he was getting a new facility, I'm like, geez, that you already have a massive facility. So that's awesome. Especially on the boys side. I think for us that's a large audience for us. On the boys side to see that growing, especially in somewhere like Eastern Tennessee. Like I'll be honest, like you don't really hear about Eastern Tennessee boys volleyball players. So that's super cool. Really, really cool. And you got into a little bit talking about the players from your guys' club moving on to the next level. I just want to talk to you, like, what are the biggest things that you see from athletes that ensures you that they're going to succeed at the next level? Not just like make it, but actually have a career past the club volleyball scene.
Self-sufficiency, I'd say, probably is the number one thing. So meaning these aren't people you have to put a boot in their ass to get going or whatever every day when they're coming into practice or getting extra reps or whatever needs to be done. They're always coming to you asking like, hey, can you come and work with me on this? Hey, can you come and help me with this? Hey, I want to get better at this. They have a really good understanding of where they are on the totem pole of competition, and they are willing to do what they need to do to get higher up on that level. So I would say those kids usually make it, because when they get to the next level, that translates. The second thing I'd say that goes kind of hand in hand with that would be hard work, right? It's like there's no secret sauce, right? It's just, if you work your ass off and you do what you need to do, there's a good chance you're probably going to get where you need to go, but without those things, I can tell you, you're not going anywhere. Even your talented kids, you're only going to go so far, because you eventually meet up with somebody who's going to outwork you, and then I'd say the last thing with that is coachable, right? And you need to be coachable. Everybody's told how great they are all the time now. And we're in a unique situation here. Like in our club, we don't really need to compete for kids, right, against other clubs, because our market is a little bit smaller. But a lot of these kids grow up since they're 12 years old, they're getting recruited to come to clubs and told how awesome they are. And their kid's going to do this and they should be that. And that club's not doing this. And they're not coachable, because all they're told is, they're just recruited the whole time and they're told how awesome they are. So then when the first time you tell them, hey, that's not really that great, you need to kind of maybe work on this, then they're like, well, I'm going to go somewhere else where somebody's just going to tell me I'm awesome all the time. And I see that their growth and their development gets stunted. So for us, like one of the guiding principles at K2 is it's development, right? It's like, I don't care if we're great at 12s. It's like we're going to beat people and we're going to win games, usually just because we're a little bit more organized and we train well, right? But whether or not we win the national championship at 12 is not really the goal of the club, or shouldn't be for parents really at that point, right? It's like, hey, is my kid getting better? Does my kid love playing the game? And is she in a place that she feels like, hey, I can do the things that I want to do long term and they can help me get there? And if that's the guiding, principles that it's going by as a parent or as a club director, I think then it's real easy for those relationships to stay good and you're not having parent issues and the players are happy and you're progressing along the way.
And so, like you said, you guys kind of don't have the biggest market in terms of boys volleyball in your area. So do you ever get like kids the opposite of like hard work and have this like false sense of just like, because they don't see like, for example, they don't see the California kids, they don't see the other kids or the other East Coast kids. Like, is that pretty often there or no?
Yeah, that happens a lot of times, and I can tell right away the ones who haven't ever watched a volleyball match on TV either. Yeah. Right? So, like I had a girl the other day, for instance, who I said, hey, it's about time we start talking about what we're doing for your recruiting stuff. I need you to put together for me a list of the schools that you would like to go to, that kind of fit, academically what you want to study, geographically in an area, it's not too far away from home or whatever, and then get back to me. And then I typically will know the coach or someone on the staff or whatever, and I can kind of put the feeler out. Hey, they need someone in your class, if they don't. Well, this girl came back and she's a good player. She plays on my team. She's 5'10", and she's a middle, an athletic kid, but the first school listed on her thing was Texas. So I said to her, hey, have you ever seen Texas play before? I mean, I don't know if you've seen their middles, like one of these things is not like the other here, like which one is it? And so there's that kind of education has to go on all the time. The beautiful thing about the boys though is, girls get discouraged really fast when we're in practice, right? If we're doing some kind of drill and they're trying to hit the first ball in the net, then they go a little slower on the second one. And by the third one, if they don't even want to do it anymore. The guys, the other way, man, they're hanging themselves in the net. They're trying to bounce balls, whatever. They can fail 50 times in a row and then they get one. And then they're, the hands like and for them, they've had the greatest practice ever at that point. Right. So, telling them, hey, you're not going to go to UCLA, or explaining to them, like, hey, there's not a whole lot of money right now in volleyball in terms of the Division I level. Maybe Division II is going to be a better fit for you because you get academic and athletic money, and trying to navigate those waters. It's a little bit of a blow to their ego at the beginning, a little bit, but they come around to it once we've exposed them. Now that, teams like you guys, like Hawaii, coming here to Lake Memorial, we brought a crew up there and they were like, wow, okay. Now I see what you're saying. I mean, it's a little bit different animal when you see it up close and in person, That was,
No, it's super cool.
That went a long way for us here. And now we have 5 boys teams because, they came and they said, okay, hey, we love doing this. We like to play. And then, they want to be like those guys that they saw,
Right.
We tell so many kids that. Like, the first thing people always ask us, oh, what should I do to get better? I'm like, you guys have so much. Nowadays, there's so much access to every volleyball match in the world. Like, watch this volleyball. You can learn so much. That's why Micah talks about, like, NBA. That's why the NBA is it's such a high level right now. NFL, MLB, because all these athletes that are coming in have watched the most elite athletes every single day. All these highlights, mixtapes. They're like watching them and trying to pick stuff up. It's so important. So that's awesome that I know it sounds like you do a really good job of anytime there's volleyball available, you get your boys there, making sure they watch that. I don't think enough coaches do that. So that's super awesome to hear. I'm stoked to hear that. The one thing that I had for you is, so it gets into a little bit what you were just talking about, but what's your philosophy on handling conflict, whether it's with parents, coaches on your staff, players, there's different types of conflict, obviously, but I just wanted to see if you have a system when approached with some sort of issue.
So when I coached at Tennessee, the University of Tennessee, on the women's program over there for 3 or 4 years. One of the assistant coaches at the time was a guy named Greg Whitus. Okay. He's now an assistant. I think he's at New Mexico State. We're driving to a tournament one time to go somewhere, and he's going to recruit. I think I'm going there to coach club or I can't remember what we're going for. But anyway, we're riding in the car. We're in the left-hand lane. There's a car in front of us going slow. He lays on the horn. I mean, just like he's not taking his hand off the horn. And I'm like, Rick, what the frick are you doing, dude? Like, this is road raging, whatever. He looked at me and he goes, hey, Jay, rude responds to rude. And he said, this is rude. Being in the left-hand lane and driving slow is being rude. So to answer your question, I learned a lesson right there. Like, when people come in and there's some kind of conflict, like with a parent or whatever, a lot of times if they're rude, the response they get from me is rude. And then usually it's, because they'll come in and they'll say, hey, my kid should be doing this, and this is ridiculous. And they go on their little rant, and I sit and I listen, and then I go, okay, hey, Chris, get the checkbook out. We're writing these guys a check. You guys are done. Well, hey, good luck to you. I would never want your kid to be in some place like this where you felt like, oh, well, hold on. Hey, I wasn't talking about us not being at the club. But the point is, usually when they're in that kind of mode, the only way that they're going to respond to anything is if you're rude back, talking them out of it or telling them that they're great or whatever is not really my style. If they don't want to be here, I don't want them here either. So this is we say all the time, in our case, it's an uncommon place for uncommon people, right? So we're doing things a little bit different. If you want to be like everybody else, you want to go into the other clubs where you can dictate who has playing time. You want to fill out the lineup sheet. You want to say who the coach is. That's not what we do here. This is what we do. If you like it, great. If you don't, get out. And so that's kind of how we handle conflict in when it comes to the parents. And with the players, God, I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I tell them the story of like I used to do with my boys. It'd be like, okay, I don't deal well with drama, and I'm a conflict person, right? So I think I might have told you guys a story. I even do this with the girls now. Little Susie and little Joni over here are having an issue, and they're backbiting and talking crap and forming cliques, and it's ruining the team, whatever. So we'll get together, practice, and I get the whistle and I blow the whistle. Okay, let's circle up. Everybody make a circle. And they circle up. Hey, Joni, you get out here to the middle. Hey, Susie, you come out here to the middle. Okay, everybody's kind of looking. The girls, they hate being called out for having this stuff. And then I'll be like, hey, Susie's been saying this, and Joni, you've been saying that, and we got some conflict. And so here's what we're going to do. You guys are going to fight right now. You're just going to, let's go. Just freaking punch each other in the face. You've been talking shit. You hate her. She hates you, whatever. Let's just get this over with, and then we're going to get on to practice. Okay, well, oh, no, I don't want to punch her. Well, what do you mean? You've been talking all the crap like, hey, what? We're going to resolve this right now. Let's just go. Come on, let's go fight it out. And then we're going to and then typically at that point, they realize the stupidity of what they're doing is that they're basically just talking crap and neither one of them really wants to throw hands or do anything at that point. So we get it resolved. And, okay, hey, can we move on with practice now? Are we done being little babies about this? Can we get along? You don't have to like each other. I'm not asking you to do that, but you need to set the middle when we're in transition. And I know she's not setting you right now, but she's going to set you. Are we over the little baby stuff? Yes. Okay. And we move on. And so it's either going to be, they're going to punch each other in the face and then it's going to be over, or they resolve it like we did and practice goes on. And we don't, it's not something that we tolerate here, because it's not a place for that. And there's no reason for that to be going on in a athletic environment. It doesn't mean people don't get along. You don't even have to like each other. That's fine. That's life. We talk about that too, but you're going to have to learn to get along with someone enough to get a goal that you have that's in common accomplished. If not, what do you do in a team sport? Go play golf, go swim, go run track. Then you don't have to worry about anybody else on your team, so to speak. It's all about you. Does that answer your question?
Oh, that's no. There's two things. One, the assistant Serbian coach at Hawaii, he handles conflict really similar to how you handle it. Like he's like very much like gets in your face. Like two guys, you're called out, and he's done all kinds of creative stuff like that. Two, right. Have you ever had anybody come close to hitting each other? I can't imagine, especially on the girls.
Yeah. Because what ends up happening is like the girls on my side, and I always tell them, the days of you being treated as a girl with me are over when you play for me. I'm going to treat you like an athlete, right? And I've had girls. I had two sisters one time. Like literally, we had blood. Oh God, it got really, because we played. Then I would do this thing. I knew there would be some issue. We would also do a full contact like dodgeball game. And I would tell them the stories when I coached high school boys in San Diego. It got to the point where, 4 or 5 of the guys would run and just grab a guy and hold him down on the ground, and the other guy would come and throw the ball and hit him in the nuts as hard as they could, and he'd be out. And the rules were completely out. It was just like I wanted to see how hard they would be willing to compete, right? So then the girls kind of caught on to some of those things, and it gets pretty savage, right? And we've had teeth come out and broken fingers and a few things. But at the end, you know what they always say? That was the best practice. That's the thing I remember the most. Hey, I learned so much from that night because this is what happened and this is what we went through, and now we're best friends, and she's going to be in my wedding, or I think that's a big issue with society in general today. Is like there's not resolution to conflict anymore, or people are afraid to kind of wade into it or talk about it because it's like, hey, we have to be sure we don't hurt someone's feelings, or we're being inclusive isn't the word, but like, that everybody feels like they're a part of it, and everybody does. But like you guys know, because you come from a fighting family of brothers, like you were telling me stories about your dad, who was a lot like how my family was. It's like, that's part of being in a family. Part of being a family is you're fighting sometimes, and it's not always going to be, we all love each other and everything's great. Some days you're just going to have to smack each other around a minute until somebody goes down, and then you're like, okay, you help them up, and now we're moving on.
Exactly.
I think that's normal.
100%.
Things get resolved so quickly that way, and you learn so fast. Like I always tell people hear stories of our youth, and Micah lived a very similar, how he was disciplined, how he was expected to behave. It was very similar in his teams, and you learn very fast. There's there's no gray lines, gray area about was that okay? Are they okay with me? No, you learn fast, or else you're getting beat the crap out of.
Yeah. And you know what? You're not talking, there's not as much trash, garbage being talked about people, because you realize, hey, if I talk some crap, I maybe get my ass beat here.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I'm going to keep I'm going to get back to practicing and not be, talking behind people's back anymore.
No, exactly. I love that. I love that, man. Yeah. The fact that you use that, it's awesome. And I think a lot of people agree with that, too. It's dude, people nowadays, if you just put them there's so many people who kids nowadays who are just so bad with confrontation and conflict and that, and all of a sudden you put them, you shine the light on them, they just have no idea how to respond, and that translates onto the court too. It's all right, pressure's on, you got to be able to perform, that type of stuff. It just all around, I feel like it's beneficial for the kids to be in an environment like that, and obviously you have such a great balance of loving them and teaching them and making sure that you're providing lessons. But at the same time, giving them a little bit of hard love at time too is super important. What's one coach, like at any level, it doesn't have to be a volleyball coach, that you have always like looked up to? And if there's a few, you can list those two, and why and how you like attributed that to your coaching style as well.
This is going to sound crazy, but I one of the first coaches that I would emulate was, when I was probably in elementary school playing flag football, I had a coach named Mr. Weiss. Okay. And Mr. Weiss was a retired Navy guy. But you sort of just encapsulated what I would say about Mr. Weiss. He was a guy who showed us a lot of love, but then when he needed, he used to say, like, sometimes you need a pat on the ass and sometimes you need a boot in the ass. And I know the difference, and I learned really fast with him that, I tried so hard to always get the pat on the ass from him. Unfortunately, he had to give me the boot in the ass, sometimes, but that I also learned a lot from that. And then going forward, like on the other end now, like as a volleyball coach who's trying to do things at a higher level, I look at a guy like Julio Velasco, right? The coach for Argentina and Iran and in the Italian leagues, and his approach to everything he does with volleyball and how he sort of brings it all together amazes me, because I want to be more like a guy like Velasco is, but I think you got to be true to kind of who you are. Sometimes I think you can take things from the people that you like from a coaching style. My basketball coach in high school, was the same way, like Mr. Weiss, a tough guy, no nonsense, discipline. We're going to do things a certain way, and that's the end of it, and I learned a lot of good things from them, but you also take away the things where you maybe like, I can do this a little bit better. And so to your point before, where you were talking about, hey, I kind of have that balance, I think it's because I've grown up with both, and I've seen the good and bad on both sides, and you take the pieces that you like, and then you sort of put that in your little soup and see where it gets you as a coach. I know this, I'm not the same coach today that I was yesterday, and I'm not trying to be, right? I'm always trying to get better at what I do. I know I can always get better. And I think the mark of a good coach is someone who can look at themselves and say, okay, hey, I know my team's not doing this, or, these damn kids, they don't do that anymore, or whatever. It's like, okay, you may be right about that, but you have to be able to adapt. And our job is still teaching, right? So how can I help my players be the best they can be? And sometimes that means I got to take a look at myself and how I'm presenting things, or how I talk to them, or how we resolve conflict, or whatever it is, and try and get better at those things and learn. And so it's a process of learning all the time. And so I'm constantly looking at coaches from all different things. Rugby is a big one. I look at how I just watched a thing about the All Blacks, which, how the guy formed the rugby teams there. Australian cricket, because my wife's from Australia. I've looked at, coaches from that. Australian rules football, a guy named Mick Malthouse who coached the Collingwood Magpies. I just read a book that he wrote. So I don't just look at volleyball. I look across the board at people who are having success at organizing teams, right? I read a lot of books, military books on, Navy SEALs or old generals from civil wars or things like that. And again, how they organized groups to accomplish certain goals. And I think the principles and all those things are kind of the same, and you can take little things from all of them to make yourself better. And that's kind of how I do it.
No, and
I know so many coaches too, though. That's the other thing. It's like on a personal level, it's hard for me to look up to them, like, because I'm like, but I kind of know, I know their little other side back in the day before they were coach so and so at whatever university they are now. It's like, I knew him, but back in the day. But I admire a lot of, and I got to say, even at Nebraska, Coach Cook and Scott Long, who's at Pepperdine, my two daughters play for those, and I'm closer on those. They couldn't be any more different. I mean, complete opposite ends of the spectrum, right? But I marvel at how they still both get results in their programs and what they do, and they're doing it in completely different ways. And I try and take the little pieces that my daughters come back and say, this is what I really love, and me making the observations about the things I see and what they're maybe doing in their training, and take the little pieces and try and bring that back and put it in my own soup and make that a little bit better.
100%. And athletes, they see straight through. If you're not authentic, like the authenticity aspect of being a coach, it's so important. Because I played for coaches who just aren't authentic. They try to be people who they aren't, and you get zero respect. Especially as the athletes get more experienced, that gets start out like super fast. And so I love that point that you made about that. The other one about coaches being able to take a look at themselves. There's coaches that I've like been in the gym with, and the entire team doesn't understand the drill. And then they're screaming at the team. Like, obviously, if the entire team doesn't understand what's going on, this is on the coach. This is not on the.
Right.
I mean, obviously, the team could maybe be better understanding, but if every single person doesn't understand, the coach needs to be able to sit down and be like, all right, why aren't we functioning? What's going on? That's such a crucial part of coaching. And athletes respect the heck out of coaches who can go out and take sort of the blame for things. Like if something goes wrong and the coach is at fault, like a coach who can go out and in front of the athletes tell them that they did wrong, I think is super important, and you gain trust more so than lose trust. And so that's super awesome. Is there any program that you, like growing up, like want to coach, or do you have any desire to get back into coaching at the university level?
Man, I don't think, well, that's a good question. I haven't thought about it in a long time. I have thought about, though, maybe trying the professional level. And because to me, it's a whole different, I think it's a different skill set that you need, and a whole completely different style of coaching in my mind. I don't know. I could be wrong on this because I don't really have any experience of it yet, but now you're dealing with elite level people, and it's more about managing personalities and putting them together on the path to kind of accomplishing something, but you're not having to come to practice to motivate people. Like, they're motivated. They're high level achieving, that kind of thing. Whereas what I do now, which I also love, is, I have 12-year-olds who can't serve, or 14-year-olds who are just learning overhand, or, whatever. So it's like, you're kind of building them up to this point, and then hopefully handing them off to the next coach at the collegiate level, who's also continuing their progress. But on a professional level, it's like, okay, well, now you're working with the best of the best. And to kind of, I don't know, I think that challenge is something that intrigues me. But who knows? Now that my son's about to graduate, and Chris and I will be empty nesters, I mean, collegiate coaching, maybe, but it's not something I'm thinking about in the near future.
Okay. Right on. So, what's one thing you talked about? Sorry, Gage, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I have to, because he just mentioned his kids. Is there like one specific time in Nicklin's career that like stands out to you? Like when you were coaching here, like a funny story, or just something that happened when you were a coach here, or something that made you like really proud also, or really disappointed. That's also funny. Yeah. Well, and
it's all those things wrapped in one. We're at AAU's in the national, like we're trying to win the national championship. I think this is her 16's year, and we had some coaching issue that happened, and I had to end up coaching the team, because I never wanted to coach them until like the 18's year, their final year. I wanted other people. I wanted them to get an experience with other people. I wanted them to learn from others, and I wanted that principle to be instilled with them, that their dad wasn't the only guy who knows volleyball, that other coaches know what they're talking about. And like, anyway, we get to AAU's, we're playing this match, and I tell, we get to a timeout, and we're like, hey, we're going to run this play because they're commit blocking over here. So set this ball, and this is what we're going to do. Okay, fine. We go back out. She doesn't set that ball. She sets something else. We get housed on the side because they commit blocking on our left, whatever. I snap a timeout like back to back. And I'm like, I walk out. And if you know Nicklin and I, it's not really that unusual. But for people who don't know us, again, because the conflict thing, it made a lot of people uneasy. We're basically screaming at each other in the middle of the court. I was like, what the, Nicklin, I just told you we're running this. They're fucking commit blocking over here. Why did you set the left side, whatever? She goes, I told her to fucking run that play, and she fucking ran this one, and she didn't go behind, Dad. I would have can set that ball, but she didn't. And I turn and I look, like we're both red in the face, and all of her teammates are kind of like staring, like, is this going to be okay? Is this going to be fine? And John Cook's sitting back there watching this whole thing go on, kind of like, okay, what am I getting into here? Take it to the center. But at that moment, I asked the kid, I said, hey, did you run what we told you to run right there? And she goes, no, I didn't. So I said, okay, fine. So Nicklin, you know what? Sorry about that. And in that moment right there, I was like, Nicklin, sorry. You know what? I thought you just did this because you were being stubborn like you can be sometimes. You actually did the right thing there. And that was a moment where I had to say, hey, okay, sorry. And then I had to get on that other kid, like, what the hell?
Yeah. No, you.
yeah, no, you. But it just goes to show it's kind of one of those moments where at that point, then she was okay. Like, we could move on from that. And on the next point, we're on the same page again. And it's not like, well, F you. And now she's distracted from the game. There's moments.
That's a baller right there.
Of pride. Listen, she played in that match where I was yelling at her at AAUs. We thought she had mono, and she ended up having mono, but she told the doctor, listen, I got to go play. And the doctor's like, well, your spleen could rupture or whatever, that's not a good idea. And well, how do we know her spleen is swollen? Well, we'd have to do a ultrasound and look at it, whatever. And she's like, well, then let's get the ultrasound because I'm playing. And she goes, and to be honest, if even it's swollen, I'm taking the risk. And I was like, okay, hold on. Now, I appreciate it. I love you as your dad and, and as the coach and the whole thing, but I don't want you dying at AAUs. But anyway, we got the
trophy.
Yeah, exactly. We got the ultrasound done. Her spleen was fine, but she went down and she played with mono at AAUs before that and trooped it out like the tough kid that she is. And then one last one where I wasn't even coaching her was this last year. They played Minnesota. I don't know if you saw that one where she was like right front blocking. They back set the ball to Samity. Samity hits this ball like straight down into the three. I mean, hits Nicklin point blank, right? Knocked her the frick out. Like Nicklin take like half a step and then like hit the ground and then like bounce back up and then set the next ball for them to win the point. And then they took her out of the game and then they got the last point to win. And that was another one of those moments where I just called her and I said, listen, you know what? I don't know how you do it. You're a tough ass kid because I'm pretty sure you were knocked the F out. I didn't know where I was. I don't know how I set that next ball. And I definitely was knocked out. But that's one of the hardest hits I've ever seen anyone take. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw that shot.
I did. I saw the video of it.
Woo.
Yeah.
Nasty. Yeah.
Samity freaking was balling this year too. She just signed in Germany, an hour away from me. We went and hung out with their team on New Year's. She was
cool.
up there. She just signed. She's like flew over here like a week ago. So they're Samity's over here in Germany now. But that's freaking awesome.
Good.
All the stories. Yeah, she's athletic. What's your favorite? We're gonna wrap up soon. I know you got to go. You got practice here probably soon, in a bit.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, it's okay. We'll get to it.
Nicklin will run it. No, I was just wondering your favorite volleyball trip that you can recall. Like, there's one for me that really sticks out. I don't know if you had one, like volleyball related. It can be as a parent, coach, player. It can be any of those.
I don't know if there's one in particular that stands out, but I know like for the last 4 years, when we first got to Nebraska, we met the Feckies, Michaela Fecky's parents, and they kind of would organize the parents getting together before matches. So for 4 years, we basically get together with all the parents, most of the parents anyway, at Nebraska and have a pregame and then head over to the thing. So for 4 years, we've had an absolute ball. The hard part for me on a volleyball trip before that was like, I was always coaching. So like if the girls were playing, they'd be playing over here. Chris and I would try and be sort of splitting out, or one of us would be coaching. So we didn't get to have as much fun. We got to have our fun when they got to college. And so now we've become lifelong friends with a lot of the parents on the team and just have a great time wherever it is we go and enjoy getting to see some of these other cities and places where the girls get to play. I will tell you though, this spring, we're looking forward to coming out to Hawaii. I haven't been there.
Hey.
And so I think they're going to do Nebraska will do the beach thing again out there. And Chris and I will try and make it out there and, under the guise of watching our daughter play. But
exactly.
Really
we'll see if we catch a game or two. Maybe we'll be other places.
Yeah, I think Nicklin's onto us. I think I even heard her say it one time on her and Lauren's talk podcast thing or whatever, they were talking about it. Like, I don't even think my dad and mom come out to watch us. I think they come out to hang out with the other parents, which is pretty much true. At that point, it's like, we're not playing in the game. We can't control anything that goes on, so we might as well have a good time. And that's what we're doing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think more parents need to realize that too. There's so many parents, they feel like what they do contributes to how like the team will perform.
yeah.
So especially in college, when you're showing up to matches, like go have a good time, show up, go out to dinner with the parents and stuff, and have a good time, and like cheer on your kids, and hopefully they win. If they don't, then you got to support them. But that's I think that's a really good way to approach it. And Nebraska, I have to ask this because we've done some different like reaction videos of different matches, and for the we did a reaction video to the fifth set of the national championship from this year, and we were just I mean we were criticized. I mean, I think anybody knows like there's a lot of things that happen starting down 7-0. We were just analyzing like how everything went down, different plays, like what should have happened, or more so the mentality of the players going, like whether it's in transition attacking or blocking, or like how they should have probably handled certain situations. And we're just like, obviously hindsight bias is 2020, but we have to ask because the Nebraska fans absolutely came down on us. We're like, and then there's some who are like, no, they're just analyzing, like they're just analyzing the game. Like if we would ask John Cook, Jalen Reyes, Tyler Hilderman, they'd say the exact same thing. Yeah, we should have went and not hit an out assist or roll shot an out of system ball directly to the middle of the court. Like stuff like that's like really like just basic volleyball tactics. So I have to ask Nebraska fans, your experience with them overall. I assume as a parent of them, it has to be pretty good. But also, is there any sort of negative vibes I have negative vibes from like Nebraska fans? Because a lot of people that we ask, they hate Nebraska fans for some reason. And I didn't realize how many people don't like Nebraska fans.
Yeah, I could see where maybe they wouldn't like Nebraska fans, but because Nebraska fans have an expectation of their program, and so if Wisconsin comes in and beats Nebraska, most of the time Nebraska fans going to be like, well, Nebraska didn't do this and Nebraska didn't do that, instead of giving Wisconsin credit and just saying, freaking Loberg really was amazing tonight and got it done on the left side, and that was the difference, or hey, Recchi was just too much in the end, or Hilly set a great match, and kind of give credit to the other side. I think that's where the rub may come. But overall, 99% of the people that we meet, we love it there. They're great people. They're rabid, and they care. They're passionate about the team. And then, there's always going to be criticism, right? This is one of my criticisms of women's volleyball in general. We don't have these talks about football or basketball or whatever, where they're like, hey, the commentators were a little too harsh on the girls, or we're talking about something technically in the match. Like you're saying, hey, don't hit roll shots to the 6 zone. Like at least put it on the setter and make them have to hit an out of system ball back coming or whatever it is. That would be standard fare if we were talking about football or baseball or basketball. But somehow in girls, the fill-in stuff that we're getting from TV, and I do TV for the SEC Network Plus on the Tennessee games too. I know how it goes. You get a production sheet and they want to talk about certain player, and you're going to talk about how she baked cookies for old people and that she's an A student, and we're going to show pictures of her cheering all the time, whatever. But we're not allowed to really say like, man, that's a crap swing she took there. It's like, why are you hitting low seam? Or, hey, you should have not rolled the ball to the 6 zone, kind of what you're saying. That's my critique. Until we're going to get to the point where you're able to hear those things about yourselves, we can't get better. We can't get better as commentators. We can't get better as players. We can't get better. The TV product can't be better, right? So if we want those ratings, that's what normal people that's what we would be doing if we were sitting around watching it. That's what I'm saying in the stands. It's like, why can't we say it, more in the open? But anyway, they're good for the most part. I don't take offense. I didn't see your thing, and I need to watch the whole thing, your breakdown of the fifth, because I happen to be there. But I wouldn't be offended by that, because you guys are good players who play at a high level and have a great knowledge of the game. I've talked to you before. So if you were like, that was a sucky set by Nicklin, I wouldn't be like, how dare you? I'd probably be like, yeah, that was a sucky set by Nicklin. What the hell was she doing there? And Nicklin needs to hear that. you know, and especially from a peer like you. She respects you. You're playing at a high level. She watches the stuff you're doing. It's not like every set you've ever made's been a peach. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I wish I had that one back, you know, or every pass the Gage did was, you know, is a dime. It's like, no, okay, hey, I should have done this or could have done that. Yeah, you can look at that, and I think that's just healthy, normal stuff, you know, healthy stuff.
Totally. No, that's exactly. It's just us, like, we were just analyzing sort of the game, and I think the players and the coaches would agree. Like, watching it back, you're like, what the heck was I doing? I do that all the time. I watch matches, I'm just like, what was I doing here? Do you guys do film sessions with your club teams?
I do, but like most of the time, my film sessions are going to be to watch, like, so I like Volos, the girl setter from, you know, that sets at Amoko from Poland. So like if I'm doing stuff with my setters, we're going to watch film of her, and I'm going to like watch how she flows here, watch her thing, watch how she does this, you know, or we're going to watch Boskovic if we're watching right sides. I like them to watch film of the people who are the best at what they do. And then let's emulate some of those things. So when we go out to practice today, I don't want you to think about technical things. I want you to think about being Volos. I want you to think about being Boskovic. I want you to think about being Micah Christensen, whoever it is, you know, Joe Worsley. Okay, you know, like, hey, and then emulate. Because I know as a kid, that's how we learned the game. We would see Larry Bird do a shot, or I'd see Magic do this, or whatever, and then I'm going out in the driveway and I'm doing that shot 800 times. And then I kind of incorporated that into my own game again. And so I think that's an issue with girls, is they don't watch the game enough. Kind of back to our point at the beginning of this whole thing. When they watch it more, then they're able to see and then kind of emulate those things in the gym, and see what maybe they can do and what works for them. And then they kind of develop their own style from that, but they add little pieces to their own game. But you got to watch it first, you know, and see it and appreciate other people to get sort of an idea of what you're doing. Otherwise, you're just out here trying to do the drills that the coach is saying with no idea how it's supposed to look at the end. And then you're getting yelled at and you're like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. You know, it's like baking a cake, but not having any idea of what the cake's supposed to look like or taste like at the end. And then you get to the end and you're like, is this good? Well, I mean, you don't know, like you didn't know what it was supposed to look like. And I think that's a fatal flaw in the women's game. A lot of it right now is that they don't watch it enough at a high level, especially, to kind of pick up on the nuances of the game and develop their own little pet shots and moves, if you will.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's exactly. And we talked a lot when we were in Tennessee. We talked a lot about the development of setters, and like watch the Olympics are going on, so we got a chance to watch some of the matches together. Yeah. Really quickly, your mentality. We've talked about just my brother and Mike and I. We worked with some setters, but we're very young. Like in the coaching world, we're not like super developed coaches. It's more just our like analysis of setting. How do you approach? I want you to just talk about how you approach developing setters in your club.
It's changed dramatically for me from being very regimented to now it's through trial and error. I don't want to box you in. So what works for you maybe doesn't work for the next guy and the girl after that. But what my job is to get the maximum out of you, right? So what I try and tell them is when we're getting here and we're working for setter work, this is an experiment, not a final exam. So we're going to mix some of this together and we're going to mix some of that together, and it may blow up in our face. Okay, then we know, no, that's no good. And then we'll try a little of this, and then we go, ooh, look what we made here. This is going to be pretty good. And then they start to build some confidence that way. But if I'm trying to fit square pegs into round holes by making you do the same footwork that Micah did, remember, that's why I videoed you both. Your releases couldn't be, more opposite at the time.
Super different.
He was trying to work on, some the stuff with the thumbs. You were, big on the doing it and much more wrist action. 6 1/2 dozen the other. You're both great and world class at what you do. So it's like, I wouldn't try and make you do what Mike is doing or vice versa. It's like, no, you're going to do you. And then we're going to accentuate those things that make you great. And then we're going to look at the parts that aren't as good and we'll work on those. Right. And then we'll try and figure out what's the best way to help you be better at those parts that you're not as good at. So if it's defense, we'll watch a setter who's defensive. If it's you're a little rigid and you're let's watch Maroof and we're going to watch him set. And then you can get into a little more flow. Look how this guy creates. So then your task maybe in the gym or for training that day would be, let's create something. I don't care what it is. Let's just try. It may look awful, but we're going to try to do different things. And then that gets your brain stimulated in a different way. where your setting then becomes an expression of what you're doing. And that's what I'm looking for when I do setter training. I don't want to box you in.
I know Micah just came in here. I know.
What's
We just talked.
up? Dude, I'm so bummed I missed this. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. And I'm sorry I don't have the mustache, bro.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. It looks so different.
Yeah, I just shaved. I just shaved it off for
What
the
happened?
new year, but
Okay. I like it.
yeah, Chris was just like, hey, she asked me, maybe to make a little change, do something a little different. So I shaved it off, and well,
Hey,
happy wife, happy life.
There you go.
There you go.
I hear
Hey,
you. I hear you
learning.
there.
But Micah, I know that you just hopped on here. I just have one more question for Mr. Hames here.
Yes.
I know a lot of people are wondering. Nicklin does have that one more season, yeah? Does she?
Mm-hmm. She does.
Is she gonna take it? You think or no? Think so? Did she know
Dude,
that
the
before the
Nebraska
season
team's
was over?
freaking legit. The Nebraska team's legit. The Nebraska team's
I
legit.
think there's a lot to the story, and I don't know. I'll have to let Nicklin tell that one, but her role is going to be different. I'll say that as she goes back, and I think John's put together a plan for her going forward that is pretty good, but it's going to look a little different than I think people will think when we get to the fall.
So she's gonna be hitting in a 6'2".
I like that.
She's hitting in a 6'2".
Yeah.
I know we don't want to get you in trouble. We don't want to get. We don't want to get anybody in trouble, but we can just speculate. After you hop off, then we can speculate. But no, Mike, we were talking about setters, and we'll kind of finish off with this last topic. I know you want to hop on just to say what's up. We were just talking about his philosophy on setting and teaching setters, because we spoke about that this past summer in Tennessee. And he's just going over how he really customizes the training and the development for each athlete. And really, like, there's a lot of coaches who have like regimented programs for each setters. And like I just want to point out, like, even like for myself, last week I was like watching some videos, some different setters, and I tried something else, tried some different stuff, and I'm like, none of this stuff feels good. And the point we were making, what we were talking about this summer, is like every single top setter in the world, you watch them, they set differently, like completely different. Right. And if you watch a setter like Bruno or something, like Mike and I talk about a lot, Bruno like isn't like the most, nobody would say he's the most accurate setter. I don't think even he would probably admit that. Like, he's not the most accurate, but he's just the freaking winner. And I think how important for you is just finding like a winner to be in that setting position, rather than, okay, the most technically refined setter sometimes, but maybe they're just not as competitive. Like,
I think we need to learn the lesson here, like from football. And we had this discussion when you guys were here. I couldn't agree with you more about the way I asked you both who you thought was the best setter in the world. You both said Bruno. And then I was kind of like, well, why? And you both said the same thing. It's not a technical thing. He wins, right? And then look at the NFL. If we went by the combine and you went by people's 40 times and how many reps they can bench at 225 and the whole thing for quarterbacks, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady are the worst of the bunch probably, right? But they win, and they're the best at that position, because they know how to play the position. And I think for me at the setter position, you need somebody, who wants the responsibility. That's the main thing. Like, hey, here's the deal. This is the responsibility of it. Everybody's looking at you. The team wins. The hitters are awesome. The team loses. The setter sucks. The coach is always talking to you. The ball's coming to you. Everybody's looking at you on every point. There's no place to hide. So if you don't want the responsibility, this isn't the position for you, right? But then secondly, I want that person to be my most competitive and most, like, what's the word? Like, where they're thinking volleyball the most. I got to be able to talk to you and know that you think volleyball, that you're thinking about how the team can get better, that you're thinking about how you can facilitate us taking another step forward, right? And I think that's the most important, more so than are your hands high or a little bit low, or is your footwork a little off or whatever. It's like, that doesn't matter in the end. Do you deliver a ball that's hittable and repeatable? Great. Do we win? Even better. That's all I care about. And that's all anyone should care about in a team setting, because you know, we don't get points for technical merit. It's not like ice skating at the Olympics or whatever, where we have the, you know, technical portion and we're getting graded on your hands and your footwork. You know, it's like we get a point or we don't. We win or we lose. It's very simple.
100%. No, I love that. That was my favorite. Like all the conversations that we had this past summer. That's why for a while I kept telling these guys we need to get him on. Like we had such great conversations, and I really like how you view so many different things. So I just wanted to make sure that we got that recorded here on the podcast for people to hear, because we talked about it on the podcast. We've like talked about you and how much we enjoyed it. So
she's back.
Yeah, she's back in, so we can't talk about her now. Yeah,
the setter / opposite for Nebraska next year is back.
They're asking me about next year, about your return and what's going to happen. I said probably you're going to be back, but it's going to look a little different than people are used to. They can talk to you if you want. Is it good? Can we tell them?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, all right. Yeah, she's definitely coming back.
Can I guess?
Yeah, you can. Go ahead.
Is it towards a coaching role?
Yes, there is the path is for her to go into a coaching role. Yes.
Yes, I knew it.
Wow.
That's
Player coach. Wow. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Really.
And I think she'll be in a different position as well. I think in terms of her setting and what she's done there, it's like, yeah, she can do that if that's what's necessary. But, you know, like she had her time, and I think Kennedy is, you know, it's going to be her time, you know, in that role next year, probably going in, and Nicklin's going to be there to help facilitate whatever needs to happen to make her the best she can be, and for the team to be the best they can be. And if that means her playing a different position, which is what they're looking at, then that's what she's going to do. And then it's going to be, you know, at a grad assistant year, maybe the year after that, where she then is a grad assistant and gets some coaching experience under a guy like Coach Cook and Jalen, and kind of learns the ropes and the ins and outs from that side, and then goes into coaching from there. I think that's kind of what the plan looks like. I don't know about what it looks like long-term for her playing, because she hasn't really even talked about that much, but the coaching aspect seems to excite her.
It's so awesome.
So there you go.
That's
I broke
really
it.
Cool.
I broke it for you here. Now maybe
she gave permission. It's good she gave the permission.
Yeah, she did give permission. Yeah, she did give permission.
So it's not like
speak too out of school. Yeah.
One last thing. Mike might have something. For me, I have one last thing, and I've asked a lot of people involved in the Nebraska program, but I want it from your perspective, because it's something we spoke about this past summer. The shift of Lexi's son more to to the bench this year. In which ways, from like a parenting, and obviously you're pretty close to the team, which ways did that affect the team? And how's the team able to kind of like rally after that? I feel like once that happens, usually the season's not going very well after that if one of your senior outside hitters is getting benched like that in the middle of the season.
I think in their case, they had a lot of confidence in the freshmen, right? And so it was, hey, we want this for Lexi, but we also understand that these freshmen are pretty good and they can help us win too. And so it's one of those things of, it's an uncomfortable situation at the beginning, because now, you know, the year before we were so thin, or they were so thin at every position, there wasn't a lot of competition. But then all of a sudden you come in and there's 2 or 3 kids at your position that can all play. And so in Lexi's case, it was like, I think she was probably as good as them in John's eyes, but maybe not better. And so in that case, as a coach, you're like, okay, well, if this kid's a freshman and you're a senior and you're kind of comparable in terms of the level, I'm going to go with the younger one instead of the older one. And I don't know that for sure, but I would assume that had to go into the thinking for John. And then on the personal side, I just know like her mom and dad are good people. We've had a great time with them, and Beth, her mom especially, you know, whether Lexi was in the game or not in the game, she cheered for everybody just the same. And she was there to give Lexi a hug after and do what she, you know, was there to do, which was support her daughter and be a mom. And lastly, I'll say on that, I know for a fact that there was probably a part of her that was a little bit happy with just being normal. You know, it's like, there's always been this, you know, cloud around her and all this storm because it's Lexi's son and I'm the Gatorade player. And then so when your role changes and all of a sudden you're kind of like normal again, I don't know that was the worst thing in the world for her, where she was like, okay, this is kind of what it might be like when volleyball's not in my life anymore. It doesn't mean she liked it or was like, I'm happy about it, but I think it was a learning experience for her. And I would think she's going to come out the other side of it better, because she's got parents who support her, great family, and teammates that do the same.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, everybody
answer that kind of answer. Yeah.
No, it did for sure.
Answer?
Yeah, we asked Lauren too. Lauren is a little bit more. She didn't want to talk about it as much, so I knew like you had a good look at view on it, and you have like, I feel like your viewpoint of how it went down is very like if you ask some other parents, they might not give really great answers and stuff. So I knew that you would give a really good answer and also know a decent amount. So people were just writing in about that and commenting. So I just wanted to make sure we knocked that out. But I know Micah, you just got out of practice here.
Yeah, my bad.
No, you're all good. We he has practices too. I know Gage was gonna do one last ad read here, and then we can wrap it up.
I don't think we need to do one last ad read, but I can just wrap it up really quick. Just want to thank you for hopping on, Mr. Hames. Always a pleasure. Hopefully we come in contact and get to visit the new K2 facility this summer, man. I mean, dude, we're psyched to get back there if we can.
Oh, there's a new
you guys come. You do. Yeah, we're going to build a new one. Are you guys?
We'll come help build it.
Again?
Yes. Yeah.
We would love to.
Say that. You told me the stories about your dad saying, hey, with the lawnmower stories and then getting out there and the lawns, I'll put you to work out here. We'll get you a wheelbarrow and a shovel. You'll be shoveling through and working.
Absolutely. Hey,
or we could go out on the boat again. We could just go out on the boat. You know, like that would be good too. That'd be good too.
Absolutely. Well, just want to thank you. We'll stay in contact. Hopefully, again, we make it our way out to K2 and wish you guys the best of luck. And just thanks again for hopping on the pod.
No problem, man. Good luck to you guys the rest of the season.
Thanks for Sam.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
All right. See you guys.
Good to see you.
You can handle the heat. Yeah. You can handle the heat.
It's good catching up with Mr. Hames. He's one of definitely the characters that we always talk about. We always have characters from our tour, and he's definitely one of them. We always talked about getting him on the pod.
Let's name the top 5 characters. I've definitely got Tennessee Chick-fil-A up there.
Yeah, for sure. Jake McSlokes,
what are their names?
Obviously.
Jesse, Uncle Jesse.
Jesse, yeah, Uncle Jesse. Yeah,
Uncle
and
Jesse
his boy.
Whatever. There's
Uncle
so
Jesse.
many we're gonna forget. How about the guy?
Like a seal. The guy like a seal.
Like a seal.
Oh, like a seal, yeah.
Red shirt, dude. Red shirt guy.
Be a coach. Red shirt.
Red shirt.
I know this guy. The Podstar, the director of.
Dude,
Podstar.
freaking La Quinta.
La Quinta.
La Quinta manager.
I forgot that La Quinta's so bad. Oh, that was so bad.
Well, we each have characters of our own though. Like there's Haribo Micah. There's Taco Bell Gage. There's Joe Mudbone.
What? Where did that come from?
Where's
What do you mean?
Joe?
Joe Mudbone? Joe, you know him, Joe.
No,
Remember that TikTok?
Oh.
Not Joe Mudbone. No, Joe. What was the driving one?
Oh, Ricky Bobby.
Yeah.
Chris McCream jeans. That was what I couldn't stop laughing about. Dude, there's so many. Dude, there's so many.
So many good ones.
There's so many of this. The list goes on and on. But anyway, it's awesome that he has his players duke it out. That's literally what me and my brother did. I fought many of my teammates before,
Dude,
and I think it's actually super beneficial.
Yeah.
And if
I
you're a
would
parent
love
out there,
playing for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be a lot like playing for Dad for sure. I think it just
For
be
sure.
in the middle of
A little-
Tennessee or Eastern Tennessee.
Yeah. I don't know if it's Dad was quite
Harsh
intense.
punishments.
He's
Way more like he's way more calm. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it'll be interesting.
No, I think
It'll
he's
be
a little bit more calm, less high strung.
My dad now is super high strung. So like when I go home and like watch him with the younger teams, and it's the funniest thing. Sometimes I have to leave the bench. I'm like I can't do it, or else I'm gonna just keep laughing or something. But I love him, and he made a lot of players who they are today. But yeah, just want to give another shout out because I butchered that last frickin' Manscaped. Well, first things first, boys. I don't know about you boys. Again, 2022 just hit. Happy New Year's to everyone. But yeah, like I said, I don't know about you guys, but new year, new me, and that also applies to my Thunderdome downstairs. And trying some new stuff out with the new Lawnmower 4.0 here. Maybe a little Brazilian, maybe a little goatee. Who knows? Trying a lot of stuff out here. But it's a new year, new me with the global leaders in below-the-waist grooming. This year, take your package to the next level with a Performance Package 4.0 and brand new Ultra Premium Body Wash. Inside the Performance Package 4.0, you'll find the Signature Lawnmower 4.0. This electric trimmer is designed to trim hair on loose skin. The advanced skin-safe technology reduces cuts and nicks on your delicate nuts. It also comes equipped with a 4,000, oh my God, LED spotlight that will shine a light the promised land 2022 looks like. Joe, hit him with the promo code.
Volleyballs, as always, all caps.
No cap. All caps, no cap. All right, just remember, guys.
Dr. P's.
And I also want to give a shout out to Dr. Price's electrolytes. Keep it nice, electrolyted. Again, if it's half the battle right there. Okay, now first of all, you're Manscaped. Now, another half the battle. You need to be electrolyted and energized for any below the waist activity. So make sure you use the promo code ADAM20 for 20% off to get Dr. Price's electrolytes to get yourself nice and electrolyted. And just remember, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the damn kitchen. This has been another episode presented by Out of System.